Peace, brother Elijah.
Hey, peace, girl. How you doing?
I'm maintaining. I just been thinking, though, man, about the situation for today's youth, man, the seeds, man.
You are listening to the Project F.E.E.D Youth Journalist Club at Richard Green Central Park.
It's me done, cause petty things we don't need them. Let's focus to create something great for all that sees them. They innocent, they know not what they face, while politicians save face, genius minds later waste. If I wasn't kicking rhymes, I'd be kicking down doors, creating social change and defending the poor.
We are back. Man, let me get some hand claps. Oh, yeah, all right. Yeah, that's right, man. First of all, the people got to know, man, you guys are so intelligent, so bright. I'm just so impressed with this conversation. This is what you call critical analysis. This is when you take an issue and you kind of really go into the issue and kind of peel it back and really critique it from a whole different perspective that most people don't do. So I'm very impressed with you guys' scholarship, with the way you guys are handling the questions, and with the way you guys were very attentive to the movie. So now, we are in to the last part of the movie. We're going to pick up this conversation, as you guys suggested, where the character Killmonger, Eric Killmonger, correct? He defeated the Black Panther, took that fight that happened, claimed his birthright, correct?
Yep.
And he became the new king, the Black Panther, and he was
the new king.
The king of Wakanda, the new Black Panther, and he had these powers, and this was what they called an outsider. He seemed to be an outsider at this time. So now let's deal with our analysis from that point to the end of the movie. And I'm going to go to a new person in the room. He's been in Boys Group before. He's familiar. He's laid some comments down. The listening audience has heard his name before. He's seen the movie. I'm going to let him introduce himself, his name, his age, and what school he goes to. Brother, can you tell us who you are?
My name is Tayshawn, and I'm 10, and I go to E.D. Perry.
What did you feel, as we're respecting everybody in the room, what did you feel about that particular fight that happened between Eric Killmonger when he defeated Black Panther? How did you feel? Did you feel that he should have been the Black Panther, or were you in disagreement that he won that fight? How did you feel at that time when your eyes were on the screen?
Disagreement.
You felt disagreement? Okay, and why were you in disagreement with that?
Because...
You want to think about that? Okay, we're going to think about that. Okay, so we're at the fight scene, my brother. How did you feel about the fight scene? Would you have been more comfortable with Eric Killmonger being the new Black Panther and the king of Wakanda? How did you view his superpowers at that time? Were they more stronger than the former Black Panther? What were your takes on that particular scene, and as we move toward the end of the movie?
He was weak, and I thought he was going to lose the battle, but he won the battle, and he became the new king.
Okay. How would you feel if you were Wakandan with him as the new Black Panther, though?
I would feel happy.
Okay. You would feel happy. I thought you just said he was weak. You didn't like him, or okay. I mean,
read the question again.
Okay. When the new Black Panther defeated the old Black Panther, Killmonger, when he won the fight, if you were in Wakanda at the time, if you were in one of the tribes, remember all the different tribes that were a part of the waterfront, how would you feel as one of the tribes? Would you have left Wakanda, or would you have stayed and been loyal to the new Black Panther?
I will leave Wakanda.
Okay. And where would you go? Would you go back to Oakland if you could, or would you go somewhere else in Africa?
I'll go somewhere else. Like, I'll just walk for a whole time.
Okay. Somewhere? Okay. And you, brother, the brother of the brother, how did you feel about this fight? And would you have stayed in Wakanda? Would you have been loyal to the new Black Panther and the new King? How would you have dealt with that? Would you have supported him like some did in the movie? Or would you have felt like this was not necessarily a good thing for your kingdom? Talk about it.
When Black Panther lost the fight and he got thrown off the river, the family was sad, and then so the Killmonger, when he became king, he changed up everything. He was trying to overrule the earth and make Wakanda the most famous country in the world. And then he was gonna restart the world, kill all the humans, and then start with Wakanda with surviving, so Wakanda could be famous first, unlike the other countries. And and then the fishermen of the tribe. So at Challenge Day, Black Panther was trying to become king, and then and all the tribes said no, except one wasn't there yet. And then they came. They were like "Arr, arr, arr, arr," like dogs. And then they came and they challenged him. And then Black Panther was about to kill him, but then he tapped out, and so he became Black Panther. And then he got into another challenge, and Black Panther thought he was tough, but then the Killmonger thought, and then showed him he's been waiting for this his whole life, so that's why he won.
Okay. And you, my brother, Mr. Media Specialist, and I say that with great regard to your skills and your expertise, because I've only interacted with you one time in the journalist club space, but I know that you definitely have critical skills as you participated to this point. In terms of the battle and the fight that went on in Wakanda, talk about how much of the fight in this situation to secure power in the direction of where Wakanda was going as a nation, how much of the fight was a physical fight versus a mental fight?
A lot of it was like physical, and then when Killmonger had beat him down to his baddest, he had made it more psychological. And that, I think, if I remember correctly, the guy that was there when Killmonger's dad had died tried to stop it, and Killmonger had killed him. And then that's what, and Black Panther was close to him because that was his dad's best friend. So they were like, really close, and that was like psychological for Black Panther. And he was like, yeah, so now look, you're so weak, you're weak, you can't do anything, you're helpless. And that made Black Panther try all of his best to fight, but he couldn't, and that just wore and tore him down. And if, like, I bet you he was on the verge of crying, but just never did. And that was like, and then, like, that was just really deep for him.
Can I interrupt you real quick? When you said that it was more psychological, what do you mean about that, about the Killmonger character? Because obviously he had to, do you think a lot of his fight was with his mind because he had to get back to Wakanda in the first place? So how much, and what were the psychological tools that he used that you just identified? And if you were in Wakanda at the time, how would you handle this new transfer in leadership?
I guess Claw seen it coming. When that was a real psychological thing when he was trying to when he betrayed Claw. I think Claw seen it coming, but didn't really think too much about it, and he thought he would be on his P's and Q's and stop him from doing it, but he didn't. And the part when Killmonger, I'm gonna call him Eric, when Eric had brought his buddy back with Claw in it to the guy that wanted Claw dead, that was psychological because that was deep for him. He was like, oh my god, you did it. You did something that I really wanted to be accomplished for a long time and that our king couldn't do. So then when he became king, he was more forward and really did what he he really was like, his right hand man is like really on his side. When he had dropped Black Panther off the river, that was psychological too. When he had went on the throne and the camera was like changing and it's like going from downside up, it was showing how the world's gonna be flipped upside down since he's the new king. And when they're all talking about what's gonna happen with Wakanda, that was psychological because a lot of the people that were abiding by the rules probably had the idea that Killmonger did, but just never thought about it or never did it.
Excellent answer. Montreal, brother, Captain. Let me ask you, if you were in Wakanda at the time when the character that we looked at a little prior before, the person who's been called Killmonger, an interesting last name, do you think you would have stayed in Wakanda and supported him, or would you have been on the front line to help defeat him, and why?
I will help defeat him because he was doing good at first, but then when he wanted the burn the plants that are a part of their tribe, and that helps them like live, and then the lady was like, no, they can't because it's a part of their tribe, and then so he choked the lady and was like, you do it now and obey your king, and then the lady was like, okay, and then it just got all burnt down. So he just ruined the whole tribe and like everything they like believe in and all that other stuff. Like I would have helped defeat him because Black Panther was like cool and all, and he was like helping his people, but he Eric is just destroying them.
Interesting. Before I ask this next question, for the young brothers right here on this side of the room, is there anything that you guys want to say? No? Okay. Now, Black Panther got defeated. People thought he was dead. The Eric Killmonger is now the ruler. People are not necessarily at peace with his position. There's a lot of fear that's happening in Wakanda. Now, this is a question. As all this is going on in Wakanda at this time, brothers, what do you think is happening simultaneously in Oakland, California, or in South Minneapolis?
I have to think about it a little because I don't really understand your question.
Okay. You know how in Oakland, California was where the young boys were playing basketball and all that? So when all this disruption is happening in Wakanda and the new Black Panther is now, you know, the head of Wakanda, what do you think is happening with the young kids in Oakland, California by the basketball hoop?
They're like, oh, it's perfect. They don't even know what's happening. But then the one kid that looks at the sky, he sees like something moving in the sky. So he goes up to his apartment and then he looks, and his dad is dead. So he starts holding his dad.
Do you want to add to that, brother? What do you think, while all this is going on in Wakanda, what do you think is happening back in Oakland, California, where the basketball courts were and the kids are? How do you think everything is there? Do you think it's peaceful there, or what do you think's going on there?
I think it's peaceful there.
Okay. And you, brother, what is your perspective on that? As all this disruption is happening in Wakanda, new rulers, people having a lot of valuable minerals that are advancing society and culture, but there's some, kind of political differences of the new man on the scene. What is happening in Oakland, California?
While Killmonger is becoming king?
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of hard because, like the MCU and the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and they take things from real life. Like, they have New York and Brooklyn and, like, Somalia, and, like, everything's, like, really real, and everything that's happening in real life, they implement it into the Marvel Universe because that's where it's, like, taking place. It's kind of like an alternate universe or, like, different timeline or whatever. So I would say that if it was at the basketball court point where Killmonger's dad had died, I'd say it was really racist there, and that's where, like, if I'm correct, that's where a lot of the racism, well, not a lot, where some of the more than Minneapolis of racism was there. And if Killmonger really hated how everybody in Wakanda is black and they could help everybody in the rest of the world that's black, I think that where he was growing up, it was pretty racist and pretty bad, and he was living in the projects because like every surrounding building was like really like rats, you know, like cockroaches and stuff. So I say that was bad, but like more earlier in modern time when he was king, I'd say it was bad but still good because it was still the projects, you know, where a lot of poverty people were like in the TV show Good Times, it was like that, but just more modern.
Add on to that. So if things are bad in Oakland and you had this new kind of leader in Wakanda that wants to make things better in Oakland, or places like Oakland, like my man said, like some maybe in Somalia, maybe in Brooklyn, maybe in Minneapolis. What's going on? Would that be a good thing? I mean, do you look at the new Black Panther potentially as doing good, or do you think, like as you said before, he started to go totally downhill when he got really aggressive with the woman and raised her by the neck and asked for all the minerals to be burned? Talk a little bit about your thoughts about the kids in Oakland. How do you think they're feeling as all this stuff is going on?
Well, to me, I think they're they think well, the kids in Oakland, well, they were doing bad because they were living so bad. Because before everything started, it showed a bucket with cardboard. There was a cardboard like platform, and there was a bucket, and that was supposed to be the basketball hoop. So that means they didn't have like no money or nothing. There was no money where they lived for actual basketball hoop. And like there was like trash all over the grounds. There was only black people there, so I thought that like it was supposed to be racist, like they're in the hood. So the kid, I'm just gonna go towards the end. The kids at the end felt surprised because the kid looked in the sky, and the thing, the like spaceship came down, or jet or whatever it is. It came down and they were surprised, and he was like, all the kids was just looking at it, and then they were like, one of the kids was like, "Is this yours?" And then the guy said, I think he said yeah, and then the kid was like, "Who are you?" And then he never answered.
So last question, and then we're out of here. Last question, and then we're out of here, and we're out to Safari, okay? And we're going to eat some African food, actually. Now, when the movie ended and all said is done, there was an observation that I saw, and I want you guys to elaborate on your thoughts. How valuable was the new Black Panther? He did not necessarily have a father figure in his life, right? His father was killed, and he was hurt by his tribe that left him behind, correct? How valuable, my brothers, as we're focused on the conversation, how valuable is having a father in your life and taking that wisdom from your father in your bloodline, in your royal bloodline, and giving it to the people to be an assistance for the people? How valuable is that, and how much of an asset is that for people in Wakanda and people in Oakland and people in Minneapolis? Let's talk about that. Go ahead. And then we're just going to end it off with your comments.
Minneapolis, it's sort of like...
No, you understand how valuable is having a father. That's the,
having a father is very special. To have him take care of you, do whatever he could. Well, it depends. If your father likes you, he'll do everything. If he really loves you, he'll do everything he could. But if he like really doesn't really care about you, he will treat you like he likes you, because when you're probably older, he probably will need you, and your dad probably will act nice to you a little bit, but then he'll still hate you. He just won't tell you that. And yeah.
Okay. And do you think in Wakanda, do you think they are a strong nation because they have relationships with fathers and they're able to take care of themselves because of that? Or do you think that really doesn't matter in Wakanda or anywhere else? My brother, how important is it to have fathers and grandfathers and uncles and people like that in your life? What do you think about that in the movie and to you personally?
It'll feel like happy, like it'll feel sad because if you don't have a dad or a grandpa, because nobody will take care of you, like take you, like buy you food, give you medicine, all that stuff.
Okay. My brother, the critical scholar, media specialist, first timer. Do you understand the question? How valuable in Wakanda, or even in Oakland or Minneapolis, are we stronger when we have connections to our fathers and grandfathers and in our bloodline, like in the movie? Or do you think when we don't have those kind of things, we kind of deal with some negative things that happen in our communities? And any closing thoughts about the movie?
I don't know, because like I feel like us as a black race, we don't really need dads, because like I mean, or white people or like Russian, or because like I really don't really hear about people's dads as much as I hear about people's moms. And like I'll go over to my friend's house and be like, "Where's your mom?" I mean, "Where's your dad?" I'm like, "I don't know, but I got my mom." And it's like we've evolved, like we really don't need our dads as much as we need our moms. But it'd still be nice to have a dad. You know, it's still part of your life. But when you don't have one, from the get-go, it really doesn't affect you as much as if you had one and then now it's gone.
And final thoughts about the movie, brother?
I liked it. I mean, if you stayed to watch the little itty bitty bits at the end, Black Panther had said that he's branching out, and he at the very end, he had bought the projects everywhere around the little basketball court, and he's gonna make it so that's like people who live there, they're still gonna pay their same rent and stuff, but have a better life and a better this and better that, and like probably get them on EBT and stuff like that. And then he said that he's gonna at the end he had said that he's gonna become a part of the Wakanda's gonna branch out into the rest of the world and help the rest of the world, and not just be a country in themselves, but just share the resources and share what they got.
Final thoughts from our captain here at the journalist group, Mr. Montrell. Your thoughts about that question, about the connection to fathers and how that played out in Wakanda. Are they stronger with fathers or without fathers? And your final thoughts about the ending of the movie.
Well, it doesn't really matter if they have a father. Well, I think that Eric didn't have a mother. That's why he he had a mother, but just not in his life, because his dad was very, very important to him, and then there was no one to take care of him. So they didn't really say who was taking care of him. So I think that's kind of weird. But in number 2, I think if there's a number 2, I think that's gonna be cool. And what I have to say is, what should I have to say?
Final thoughts about the movie, brother.
Yeah. Black Panther was cool enough to when they had that fight, he stabbed Eric, and then Eric still could breathe and all that, but if he took out the knife, he would die. So Eric said, his dad said, one day he'll take him to Wakanda and show him what it is like, and it's beautiful and everything. So Black Panther brung him to the best site where he could find and showed him what Wakanda really looks like, and then Eric thought it was beautiful, and then Black Panther was like, if you want to stay in Wakanda, we can heal you up and make you one of us. And then Eric was like, no, so I could be chained up for years. And then he took out the knife and died. But I think that was really cool how he was gonna give him a chance.
It's interesting, brother. That's wow. Observations. Did you want to say one more thing, brother? Go ahead.
It was like, I'm kind of like piggybacking off what Montreal said. I like the fact that the movie was like really, really in touch with real life, and at the end, he has, like when Montreal said, "What, you're gonna just keep me in the cell for years?" He's like, just like my people knew when they jumped off the boats, because like, you know, he's like black from Wakanda, and he's like, you know, American black, like black African American. And he was like, because my people knew that death is better than bondage, so just let him die. And that was like a lot of people in the movies at that point that made them really, really think about real life.
Wow. I know this took a little longer than usually when we do our group, but this analysis was needed. Do you guys realize that I believe this is the actual first kids, young males, young boys kind of interpretation of the movie, potentially nationally. I want you guys to know that. You guys are cutting edge kind of material right here, live from South Minneapolis. So before we close out, any last words before we close out and go to Safari? Anybody who hasn't said anything wants to say anything? Armando wants to say one thing. Go ahead.
I think Marvel characters rock.
Okay. So that's what's up. Let's end as we usually do on the count of 3. We're gonna say peace. I want everybody to hear this on tape. 1, 2, 3. Peace.
You are listening to the Project F.E.E.D Youth Journalist Club at Richard Green Central Park.
Anointed hustlers in the fatherless region through the pain. Wish they knew that God was just teaching. We want decent homes, so dreams we say out loud like speakerphones, just to keep them on. It's like a color song to keep it on. I guess knowing I'm weak is when I'm really being strong.